G'day folks, this week's video I'll be looking at the aquaponics potato and give you a bit of a roundup on what's going on in the system. Now we're into spring, and yes Baron, I did plat it just for you mate. So we'll flip the camera around and have a bit of a catch up on the system. To begin with, we'll try and see if we can see the fish. You might be able to make out one or two of them just down in there. A little bit hard at this time of day, with not a lot of sun around. But yeah, they're doing okay, they're feeding fairly well. I think today the temperature was around about 22 degrees Celsius, 23 degrees Celsius. I threw some in earlier and they pretty much all went through it straight away. So pretty happy with the way the fish are going. As soon as the water temp hits around about 24 degrees Celsius, they'll start hitting the food really hard every day. Just a bit of a quick catch up on some readings. Joe in a clip or two ago was saying that he had issues with not enough nitrate in his, and I told him I'd give him a gander at ours. Ours is still definitely off the chart, it's the red one there. So well and truly over the 80 parts per million. So any deficiencies we do have in the system are pretty much all down to the fish not feeding and those micro elements, and some of the major ones like calcium and potassium not making it through. So that's why I've been supplementing through winter. Now the other test I have there is nitrite, and the reason I took that test is persistent high pH, like we have, it's sitting at 7.1, 7.2 at the moment, can be a symptom of denitrification. Basically, a large root system like that tomato in the back corner would have can set up anaerobic zones. Basically, the bacteria steal oxygen from the nitrate, revert it back to nitrite, and not only can nitrite show up in your testing, but it can also drive the pH up. So I was thinking that the persistent high pH we're having, it could be a symptom of denitrification. But as it turns out, after taking a water sample from the outlet from that bed, no nitrite, so I know it's not denitrification, which leads me to believe it's just, not enough feed being processed by the fish. And because our top-up water has a pH of around about 8, we're just naturally buffering the system, so I don't have to add in any hydroxide or carbonates. But I just thought it would pay to do a test, just in case things go pear-shaped and I ended up with other problems down the line. So just a quick plug while we're talking nutrients. If you want to learn more about the ins and outs of aquaponics, I do have that guide available. There'll be a link just up there in the corner and a link down in the description if you want to check it out. It'll be to our webpage, and yeah, I have more information on the guide there. So I'll get back to the clip and stop spruiking my wares. You can probably make out that the beds are looking a little bit clearer. That's because the broccoli over there, I decided some of that had to come out. The main reason being is the leaves were just totally infested with aphids, and because it was so crowded in there and overplanted, I thought it would be a good idea just to remove a few. And as you can see, we do have a couple there, which I'll give you a bit of a closer look at in a tick. What I've pretty much all done is just opened up some space to plan out some other bits and pieces, and I also treated for any aphids that may be remaining. I do a dipel insecticide spray here. I add in some peppermint dish soap at the same time into the sprayer, and I gave the broccoli a blast and a lot of other plants that had a few aphids on them as well. The dipel will knock off any of the caterpillars, and that soap in the mix will help it stick to the leaves and also wash off the waxy protective coating of the aphids. As per normal, as soon as I sprayed, last night we had a downpour of rain and probably washed most of it off the exposed leaves, and it also knocked down a lot of this perpetual chard here too. So we're going to knock off those leaves, harvest them, and that's opened up a nice big spot in the middle that I need to plan out. So Bianca and I are going to discuss what we'll pop in there. It'll be leafy green, something that grows fast, so we can use up some of that nitrate, probably some Asian greens, some lettuce and that sort of thing. Over here I took out the kale that was sitting here, mainly because we had a lot of powdery mildew forming on it. Same thing again, overcrowded in the bed. Didn't see many aphids on the kale though, but a lot of powdery mildew, so I thought I'd remove it just to make way for some other plants. And this cabbage is yet to be harvested. This one will definitely be coming out by the end of the week though, because we have some natwurst that we need to use up, so we'll just make up our braised onion and apple with caraway seeds to use up that one. Over here I've just got a pile of the broccoli roots and the kale roots. What I like to do is just leave them on the surface of the beds to dry out. It also lets any compost worms that may be in there that eat the detritus trapped by the roots, let them escape back down into the grow bed. And once they dry out, it makes it easier to flick all this clay out as well. So they'll just stay there for another couple of days. Over the back here, one of the other issues we had with overcrowding is you don't see things like this, aphid breakout. So I didn't spray any of this with the spray yesterday, so I'm going to make up another soapy spray today and just spray around these little lettuces to try and knock those aphids on the head. And these white beetroot over here, we'll be harvesting all of them this weekend and probably roast them up or maybe toss them into a bit of a salad. They just haven't grown as well as the other varieties we've had. So it was a bit of a trial just to see how they go. A mate started them off for us, so we might go back to some of the Detroits or something like that with those guys. Just over to this bed quickly. We sprayed this one as well, just more so for the aphids than any caterpillar attack, because we are getting some of these black onion aphids down in here. Yeah, that one was dry and crusty, so yeah, trying to look after these leeks, because these ones, they're not really for eating. These are a perennial leek. As you can see, little suckers are coming up down the side there. That one continually gets smashed by aphids down in there. And I did spray it yesterday. And, oh no, those guys are pretty dry as well, so hopefully they may be knocked on the head. But anyway, what these leeks do is they send up little suckers, and there's some more down here. Oh wow, there's some aphids there. Oh no, they're just falling off. That's good, knock them on the head. So yeah, they send up little suckers and I can break them off and plant them out elsewhere. We do have a nice larger one in a wicking barrel down the back. So yeah, that'll probably be the first harvest, and we'll just use these ones here to propagate the next batch. This perpetual chard is doing really well. We have taken a number of harvests off that one recently. You only need 3 or 4 leaves to throw in a stir fry or something like that. We did have another one that was growing out this way. It had a lot of deformities on the newer leaves as they came through, so we just decided to cut it out. Now the Ambo's passed, yeah, we decided to take him out and yeah, just make way for this one here, plus all the others we have on the go over there. This bed here, as I mentioned, cleaned out a lot of the broccoli. I have left some on this one over here because it was growing towards the side, and what we're going to do is just harvest the leaves. I don't think we'll get many side shoots off this one. And the same thing with these guys over here. We just take off the side shoots as they come along. And also the younger leaves, they stir fry up really nicely. We've been adding them into a Asian inspired mince meal. Down here, our little capsicum or sweet pepper, the yellow one, she's already set some more fruit. So going to keep an eye on her and get some fruit fly bags out and just bag up those fruit as they start to mature, because coming into warmer weather, the Queensland fruit fly will start to target plants like that. Just pull this old kangkong out. I think it's pretty much well dead. So yeah, this one has just been sitting in the bed over winter. Got a little bit too cold. It got a little bit too covered up by all the other things growing around it, and you can see a little compost worm doing what he's supposed to do. I like adding these guys into the bed because they just chew through organic matter like this and turn it into plant available nutrients. So that's one great reason to have them in the bed. Yeah, but give those compost worms time to go down there. But anyway, this is the base of that tomato I was talking about before. Nice big thick healthy stem, but unfortunately a lot of the undergrowth underneath this little frame here having a lot of interruptions today, folks, so it might be a bit of a choppy video. Back to the tomato frame. Yeah, I got down there earlier on today and harvested all the ripe tomatoes and saved some of the ones that weren't so ripe but should ripen up okay on the bench. I took off anything that had twists in the stems. A lot of these guys had grown down through the wire, and just the weight had twisted the stems and they'd opened up. And I also noticed what looks like mildew growing on a lot of the stems. So I just figured I'd cut it all off. I've just left it down there for now, and it'll end up down the back in a bit of a makeshift compost heap. But there is enough new growth out the end here that we should continue to get loads of tomatoes from it. And I dare say we're going to end up with little branches just popping up along the way as well. So these are the tomatoes, and we've got some very nice hands out of here. These are the blueberry tomatoes. What I've been doing with these, once we've been taking them off, well, whatever we don't eat within a day or so, I've just been giving a bit of a rinse and popping in a container and in the freezer downstairs. And when the time comes and we have enough, we're just going to turn them into a couple of batches of sauce. Just to give you a look at the broccoli, a couple of nice heads there. They will be coming off today, and we'll be making up a peanut and broccoli stir fry to go alongside some pork chops. And yeah, you can see the remnants of the dipel I sprayed on yesterday, just on the leaves where it's collected with the rain. So these guys will need another spray. I might leave it a day or so because it looks like most of the aphids over there have been knocked on the head. Down here we just have the more perpetual spinach, and I didn't notice that it had actually crowded out that and the broccoli, a couple of garlic along here. So I lost a couple of garlic. and the rest of them, as you can see, have just been pushed over. But yeah, we should get an okay couple of bulbs from these guys. I did a little bit of an investigation down beside this one before, and they are slowly starting to swell. So we've got a couple of more months before we can harvest our garlic here. And I'll give you a bit of an update on the potatoes. They're doing pretty well. This soil one was the first one to pop. The first potato has done the best out of all of them. There was another little one down here that was just struggling, so I had a bit of a dig around, and it basically turned into a little bit of a potato water balloon. So I decided to pull it out of the pouch yesterday and then just topped up the soil, just up the stem a bit. And once this grows, probably about another half a foot, 15 centimeters, I'll top the soil up pretty much all towards the top. Down here in the clay pouch, we have okay growth, and there are some shoots. I showed the supporters the other day in a video. There are some shoots forming on that second potato, but if we only get one out of the pouch, I'll be happy with that. And down here on the coconut coir side, we have one that's doing okay. So this second one has set up shoots from either end of the spud, and when that one grows a little bit taller, probably about twice the size, I'll look at filling up this pouch with some more coconut coir. And the last one that I shoved just on top of the clay looks to be doing okay. Pretty much all as good as all the rest. So as I mentioned before, I'm just going to pile more clay up around this one as it grows. I might have to stick something in here to act as a bit of a barrier, but yeah, we'll work something out. And yeah, a little look at the water chestnuts. They're doing okay, putting on some nice growth there. This one here is already split into two, and I think you can probably make out there's new growth here and new growth there. So I've already got that one split into a second corm there as well. So pretty chuffed with that. Oh, just quickly before we go, my beans. They were hidden underneath that broccoli just on the end over there, and to tell you the truth, I've forgotten all about them. So what I've decided to do is just leave them in the punnet. I've stuck them in the bed here, and we'll see how they go. I've got a couple of flowers forming on them already, just in there, so hopefully we'll have some aquaponic beans soon. So I thought I'd give you a bit of a quick update on the old aquaponic area again. Bianca and I have been talking about it. We've just got a little bit of earthworks that's going to be happening very soon. Thank you very much, Stephen. And then we're going to look at getting a pergola, basically a shelter with a roof, set up here, and a new aquaponic system will be going in. All this rock will be used on our driveway in a couple of parts. So basically what we're looking at doing is turning 3 black IBCs into a fish tank and a basic split loop or single loop system. Haven't decided what I'm going to build yet, and that will be going down in that area down there. You folks interested in some IBCs like this, I'll leave a link down in the description to the saddlery and leather shop that is selling them. Old mate owns that, and yeah, this is just a sideline he does, so message him there on Facebook and he should be able to sort you out. Now the build for that system there, I'm going to be rather cunning and create the two systems, both a split flow system and also a single loop, just so I can have examples of both, making both of them, and turn it into a little bit of a guide for our retrieve platform, where we're hosting our other guide. If you want to check that out, there'll be a link up there and in the description. Now the new guide will be looking at a complete build from start to finish to when we put fish in it down the back there. Well, that's the plans at the moment. I'll also be filming an overview video for YouTube as well, so folks won't be missing out, don't worry about that. As for time frame, as I said, we've got a few things we need to knock off first before I can get to it, but fingers crossed, time and money allowing, I will have it done by the end of the year, or at least by Christmas anyway, so I can have a few weeks off. So yeah, if you want an update when that happens, or be notified I should say, hit that little subscribe button down there and jump on over to the bell icon, and fingers crossed YouTube will send you a notification. But yeah, I think that is pretty much all it. Firstly, before I go, I would like to thank you all very much for coming along and thumbing up the clips and leaving your comments down below. I do read them all, and I think I get back to about 99% of you folks who leave a comment. Thank you very much as well to you folks who bought the guide, and all those other folks who are supporting us through the Farm Your Own Yard and the YouTube membership program. Really do appreciate the support, folks. But I will pretty much leave that there. I do hope you're all well and happy and your systems are booming, and I'll see you next week. Cheers folks, and happy growing.